right, good morning. We'll just take our seats and we'll get started. All right, good morning. Welcome to the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners Comprehensive Plan Public Hearing for Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. And may we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Baxter?
Here.
Commissioner Bernard?
Here.
Commissioner Marino?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sachs? Mayor Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner Woodward?
Here.
Thank you.
Let the record show that Vice Mayor Sachs is called in. Unfortunately, she is under the weather. We wish her all the best, but she will not be joining us today. All right. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I would like to ask everybody to please rise if you're able. So as we know, the folks in the Big Bend area, the west coast of Florida, have endured a hurricane, Cat 4, coming ashore. So I'd like to ask that we take a moment of silence to pray for the folks that are in the path of the hurricane, for our first responders, and for our electrical linemen that are going to be dealing in the aftermath of this. So let's just take a moment of silence and pray in your own way for them. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Do we have a proof of publication?
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners, and yes, we do.
All right. Do we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bernard, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. All right. Agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
Yes, Mayor, there are. The agenda as published has been updated to include item 5B1, which is the commercial vehicles and residential zoning, which was postponed at the August 24th zoning hearing. And in addition, we've received additional correspondence for items 3A1 and items 4A1.
All right. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Baxter, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. All right. Do we have any postponements? Oh, I guess we've already done that. Okay, so we've adopted the agenda 6-0. All right. Before we get started, a couple of things to note. One is, obviously, Vice Mayor Sachs is not going to be joining us. The second is I have a hard stop at 11:30. So we'll break at from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. Okay. With that, moving on to item number 3, public hearing, round 23B, adoptions.
Okay, so the first two items on the agenda had previously been transmitted by the board and are now back for adoption. And for the first item, we have Jerry Lodge with the Planning Division to give a staff presentation.
Does anyone require a presentation on these items? I'm not seeing anybody, so thank you. Thanks for being here. Oh, we have cards on 3A1? Okay, so before we move forward, we'll listen to the public on 3A1.
Thank you. We have several speaking cards and several non-speaking cards. The 3 non-speaking cards support the action. And may I have Ashley Quintano? I apologize. Miss Anna Johnson, Carol
Looks like Rowe.
and Peter Sanchez. Please come to either of the microphones. Thank you.
And if,
Please state your name and address for the record.
Amanda Johnston. I live at 5936 First Road.
Thank you. Oh, who's going to do the
Proceed? Okay. My name is Amanda Johnston. I've lived in Biltmore Acres since I was 6 years old, 1988. I'm nearly 41. I've loved the neighborhood. As the community, as it's always been, we're asking for your support today to support us as you have for Pioneer Road, and hopefully as you will for Heritage Farms. We deserve to remain as we always have and how it was intended to be, with the low density, and it would just tear apart our neighborhood to let builders build high density smack in the middle of places that have, horse sanctuaries and agriculturally zoned, and there's rehabilitation centers with horses for children with disabilities. There's electricians, there's plumbers, there's just a community full of people that loved and have always loved where they lived. So please, we ask for your support for this overlay to continue to protect us as you always have. Thank you.
be happy to. So for this item, we're allowing 3 minutes, but if you don't need to take all 3 minutes, that's fine with us. You can simply let us know whether you support or oppose this item.
Thank you. So again, Ashley Quintano, Carol, Peter Sanchez, Scott McCarron. You can take either microphone.
Hi. Are we ready? So my name's Carol Reeve, and I'm at 5714 Fernley Road. I just wanted to point out, I know Betty was going to come up and speak as well, but with the respect to the map that we have up here showing the opposition, I just wanted to make you aware that the property on Fernley to the west, that's the oblong, that is actually in green at this point. I know Jerry's received some communication that they're in favor. And the two properties at the end of Colbright Road are also colored in green. So there is actually even more support than what we initially had. Okay?
Thank you. Sir?
Oh, yeah, hi. Scott McCarroll, 5537 First Road. I've lived there since 1992. There was a reason I moved there. We liked our green spaces. It's a wonderful neighborhood, great neighbors. To put houses on top of each other next to our neighborhood would just be wrong. The infrastructure of our area, Lantana Road's a mess. You can't see the lines anymore going up and down on Lantana Road. They don't paint the lines. It's just to pile up more people in that area for something that's just not geared for that would be wrong. So
Thank you, sir. I apologize. Peter Sanchez and Ashley Quintaro did not want to speak, but they are in favor of the overlay. So I have Linda Phipps, Ralph Junta, Joseph Call, and I'm sorry? I'm sorry? I haven't said Barbero yet. That's okay.
Hi, I'm Linda Phipps. I live on a beautiful street off of Lantana Road, and Colbright Road is the name. My husband was recently involved in a traffic accident early in the morning at 6. The traffic starting at about 6 o'clock on Lantana, east and west now. You take your life in your hands. And with the new school that is open on Lyons, after school, the buses and all the traffic that this affords us, New housing is going to create more loss of life. And I also speak for the wildlife. Since on Lyons there has been, I believe, 2,000 houses have been built where the new school is next to it. That used to be a polar farm, but it also had farms that produce crops. The butterflies, all of the things that keep us alive are disappearing in our area. So I speak for human life based on the animal life that isn't going to be there much longer if we have more homes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sir?
My name is David Khalil. I live at 5407 Fernley Road. Lived there for over 30 years. And I just wanted to thank planning and zoning and the commissioners for what you've done for our neighborhood already. Thank you.
Thank you. So Ralph Junta, Joseph Varvaro, Betty Resch, Sharon Brown. Those are my last four cards.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ralph Steven Junta. I'm at 7375 Southampton Terrace, Boynton Beach. I don't live in the Biltmore Estate area, but I've been going to that neighborhood since, God, maybe 20 years now, visiting Excalibur Nursery on the extreme end of that street of Fernley. And in the last maybe 6-7 years, became friends with Josie and Carol, who run a horse sanctuary amongst many other animals. And yeah, the issue got put into my awareness, and living on Lawrence Road, where I do since, God, maybe 25 years, seeing all the citrus groves be completely deleted and replaced with cookie cutter, zero lot line houses. If I had been within my, if I had known then as a child, I would have been going to spaces like this to protest the same thing I'm doing now, because the very little bit that we have left of spaces like Biltmore Estates is quickly fading, as we can all see as we drive around, especially those folks that are here with many years, 10, 20, 30 years or more. They've seen what's been completely erased in the name of pure profit and insanity. So I spent, like I said last time, I spent a lot of time every year going to the Peruvian Amazon of Iquitos, and there you can see the Amazon being logged every day and being sent out on trucks. I'm talking trucks bigger than this whole room, trees that are several feet wide. And it's almost like I'm in Florida hundreds of years ago. So you can see, like, in lifetime, the deforestation and the decay of systems that have been around for thousands, millions of years, if you want to say. And we're in, like, the late stage of that in Florida. And so, like, any kind of protection we can offer, be it overlay or just not letting this senseless building take place on Lantana, it's like that. Those little micro steps create huge ripples and changes to kind of keep this all going in a good way. And so I support the overlay, and anyone sensible that has their head right on their shoulders does the same. Thank you.
Thank you. I received 3 more non-speaking cards who are all in favor of this.
Good morning. My name's Joseph Barbero. I've been in the neighborhood since 1973. It's a beautiful, quiet neighborhood, and I'd like to keep it that way, so hopefully you'll support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Betty Resch.
Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Betty Resch, Mayor of Lake Worth Beach.
I have a handout, if I can, it's just a very brief handout, if I could pass that around. I don't know if, is that possible?
Staff will take it.
Oh, I will not approach the bed. Thank you. Good morning. I've represented this community, Betty Resch, for many, many years with different attempts to develop the property on Lantana Road. This is one of the rural enclaves that you have the ability to protect. What I'm passing out today is the essentially when Pioneer Road, I think it was 2018, the enclave was approved. There is some language that I just want to point out as this gets passed out to you. Obviously, there's great public support. This entire community is in favor of this overlay. I mean, it seems almost non-controversial at this point. But just to give you some background and some platform for you to vote in favor of this and to support this, on the second page, if the first page is when the rural enclaves were created and circled in green, is the one that we're talking about today. On page 10, second page, the policy, FLUE policy 2.2.1-P, the county there are long-established rural residential enclave communities. The county supports the continuation of these rural areas in order to encourage a high quality of life and lifestyle choices for county residents. And to stay brief, because I know time is important, on the next page, the county shall adopt specific overlays in the comprehensive plans and/or Unified Land Development Code to protect the character of individual rural enclaves identified through the neighborhood planning process. This is a neighborhood which has been identified as a rural enclave. There is, huge public support for this. There is, you have a basis in your own laws to do this. So we ask that you do support this and confirm this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Is Mr. Junta here? Oh, sorry. Okay, that is my last speaking card.
All right. All right, we'll bring this back to the board. This is on item 3A1. This is the adoption of the Biltmore Acres Lantana Rural Enclave Overlay.
Oh, I'll make a motion, we approve.
Oh, wait.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make that motion to adopt an ordinance for the Biltmore Acres Lantana Rural Enclave Overlay.
I will
Thank
second.
you. We have a motion by Commissioner Barnett, a second by Commissioner Marino. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed, that motion carries 6-0. Okay, moving on to item 3A2.
Okay, and this is the second of two items up for adoption. So again, this had previously been transmitted. I'm able to give a presentation if you would like, or at full
Does
discretion.
anyone need a presentation on item 3A2? This is the Commerce Future Land Use Designation text updates. Not seeing any? Okay. Do we have any cards on this item? Nope,
I have
no
nothing.
cards.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance of the Commerce Future Land Use text updates.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard has made the motion.
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Marino to adopt item 3A2. All in favor, all opposed, that motion carries 6-0. All right, moving on to item 4A1. This is the Heritage Farms Rural Overlay Text Amendment.
Okay, and this item is before the board at the transmittal phase, and Travis Goodson with the Planning Division will provide a staff presentation.
Does anyone require a presentation on this item?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. You're recognized, sir.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, Travis
Can I ask the
Goodson.
excuse me one second. Can I ask everybody to please? Yeah, if we have a lot of talking and so forth going on. We'd like to be able to put our concentration on the speaker, so appreciate if you can take those conversations outside. If you're filling out cards, maybe it's a good idea to go outside and fill them out. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, Travis Goodson for the Planning Division. This item is before the board is a county-initiated text and map series amendment to establish the Heritage Farms Rural Overlay. You previously heard from staff and property owners when this item was before you for consideration back in February, prior to being postponed until today. So we wanted to take a moment to recap on some background and recent events. In February 2022, a few residents had reached out to staff regarding development proposals in the Heritage Farms area. Chiefly at that time was the Trotting Center amendment requesting additional density. The BCC initiated the creation of an overlay on August 25th, 2022, at which point staff began the work in coordination on the overlay as directed. And as mentioned, following staff presentation and public comment, the board voted to postpone the overlay until today in order to allow additional time for property owners to work through some issues and provide additional feedback. Since the February 1st postponement, the Trotting Center amendment was adopted on February 23rd. And on May 3rd, the board initiated a private text amendment for the Yee and Cypress Polo properties within Heritage Farms, which is now known as their two properties. Their application is known as Verdura Farms. The applicant subsequently submitted their future land use atlas amendment, requesting to go from rural residential 1 unit per 10 acres to low residential 2 units to an acre on approximately 96 acres. And that item is scheduled for September 8th Planning Commission and November 1st BCC transmittal before you. And so again, the intent of this amendment proposes to revise the future land use element to add a new sub-objective and policies to establish an overlay for heritage farms and update special planning series map. And so you've seen this before. This map shows the proposed boundaries for the Heritage Farms rural overlay. The boundaries include a majority of heritage farms except for a couple of pieces, one being the hiatus parcels on the north. They're physically separated from heritage farms and are accessed by Lantana Road versus through Heritage Farms proper. The Trotting Center Amendment site you can see in the southeast quadrant that now is shown as LR2 following the adoption of their amendment in February of this year. They had an application in process prior to the initiation of this overlay. And then the far southeasternmost commercial pod, which is non-contiguous to the overlay boundaries. It's separated by the Trotting Center. Ultimately, the board has full discretion on the final boundaries or the written text of the overlay and may make adjustments as necessary through these public hearing processes. Proposed Heritage Farms rural overlay would be nested as part of the rural tier within the comprehensive plan. The sub-objective recognizes Heritage Farms as a longstanding community and aims to preserve its rural residential, agricultural, and equestrian character in keeping with rural tier policies that already exist within the comprehensive plan. First, the proposed policies would be for the boundaries. They establish the boundaries, and the specific boundaries would ultimately to be depicted on Special Planning Areas Map, Land Use 3.1. The next policy is focused on density increases. The proposed policy required that any method of obtaining an increase in density beyond what's currently allowed that is subject to final action by the Board of County Commissioners would require approval by at least 5 members of the board. And this policy serves as a mean of garnering additional census on decisions that affect density within the boundaries of the overlay. And lastly, our policy statements written to encourage the planting and preservation of native vegetation and encourage the continuation and expansion of agricultural type uses within the area. These policies are intended to support the identity of Heritage Farms as the low-density residential agricultural community. So in summary, the text amendment to create Heritage Farms rural overlay establishes the policy guidance to support the continuation of the area, and accordingly, staff assessment finds the proposed overlays supports that area's character and furthers existing goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan.
Excuse me. Can you take the conversation outside chambers? Thank you.
On to community participation. Planning Division staff began coordinating with property owners and interested parties starting in September 2022, shortly after the board's initiation of the text amendment. We utilized several methods to communicate this information and encourage feedback, including a web page that we established, informational meetings, postal and electronic mailings. First 2 meetings were held virtually by Zoom, and the October 12th informational meeting was held in person at the Vista Center. Staff mailed letters to property owners in Cobra, as the southern portion of the areas within the boundaries of Cobra, on 4 different occasions, the latest being on June 5th. These notices contain the meeting dates, the web address to the overlay web page, staff contact info, email and phone number, and a response form that they could use to provide their comments. So this slide is communicating a couple of things. First is the latest iteration of the green-red map, which visually depicts support and opposition to the overlay as we have received. The grayed out properties are owned by the federal government. Secondly is the table here, which lays out the current data as well as the data from when the board last saw this, February 1st. And so at this time, there's been a little bit of change, a little bit of increase in the response rate since February, but we're showing a 65% by property owner support versus 35 in opposition. However, when you look at it by acreage, the support ends up being about 43% to 57%. And so we formulated this data for two main reasons. One, in 2009, when an overlay of this type was coming through for this area, it was done this way back then, so we did it for consistency. And secondly, there's a lot of property owners that own more than one piece of land within the overlay. And so it was really a way to be able to convey to you as decision makers just two different ways to look at it. So we broke it down by property owner and by the acreage that they own combined. So considering this information and the staff analysis provided and the staff report made part of your packet, staff is recommending approval. When the Planning Commission saw this, they recommended approval 9-0. Today's recommended motion would be to transmit. With that, though, there are several options available to this board, and just in an effort to aid in that process, staff has outlined some of the options. One option would be to transmit as published and recommended by staff. Another option could be to transmit with modifications, that it could include boundary modifications, it could include text modifications, and then another option would be not to transmit. So again, we'll just show these visually. So option one, we could call it, would be to transmit as published, no changes to the text or the boundary. And then a second option could be to transmit with modifications. And as an example, in your add delete today, if you received a copy of a signed letter from a contract purchaser for the area known as Verdura Farms. So in following board direction, that applicant has worked through discussions with several Heritage Farms property owners since February 1st postponement, and they've indicated in their letter an agreement on an alternative boundary, which we're showing to you here, that essentially excludes the Verdura Farms site from the overlays depicted on this map. Certainly there's other modifications that could be made as well. And so with that, we'll conclude presentation, and we're here for comments. Thank you.
All right. Anybody from the board have questions or comments to staff? Not seeing any. Okay, we'll move on to public comment on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. We have lots of cards, and again, you don't have to take all 3 minutes to say you're opposed or...
How many cards do you have?
20. And we have several non-speaking cards that want their comments read into the record. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 non-speaking cards. 4 are supportive. Sharon Brown, after losing so much of the ag reserve, could this little pocket Heritage Farms be spared? Teresa Herbert, I have lived in Heritage Farms for 31 years and have enjoyed the rural way of living. I am full support of Heritage Farms overlay in its entirety, minus Yee, Polo, trotting lands. Brad McCarran, please support our overlay. We moved into the neighborhood because we like the existing zoning and land use. We want the character of our neighborhood to stay this way. We would like for properties in our neighborhood that were purchased as agricultural, residential, equestrian to be sold as ag, residential, equestrian, not whatever's popular at the time, such as car washes, CLFs, or low-rise apartments. And Michelle Burns, please vote to support our overlay. It will make it necessary to have a supermajority vote for any land use change in our AG residential neighborhood. We want to keep density as it is now. Thank you. And the rest of our speaking cards, let's start with Ken Tuma, David Kinports, Ray Abel, Jason Pierre-Paul.
And while Mr. Tuma's coming up, can I ask everybody to please check your phones and shut off or silence them or turn them off? Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor, County Commission, Ken Tuma with Urban Design, here today on behalf of Pulte and DeVosta, who is a contract purchaser of the Cypress Polo property and the Yee property. We are requesting that property, can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Sorry, thank you. Hi, Ken Tuma with Urban Design, here on behalf of Pulte, DeVosta, which is representing Pulte and DeVosta, who are the contract purchasers for the Cypress and Yee property. As identified by Travis, we would like that property to be removed from the boundary, the alternate option number 2. We intend to come back in front of this board in November, requesting it to be added to the Trotting Center overlay. As indicated, we have that at the Planning Commission in September and in front of you again in November. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. David Kinport?
Good morning. My name is David Kinports. I live at 10759 61st Street South. I've been there for 13 years. I appreciate y'all's support on these matters in the past, and I'm in favor of the overlay and would like you to vote for it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, I've called several names. Please line up at both of the podiums so we can move through these. Ray Abel, Jason Pierre-Paul, Risa McCarron, Wanda Thompson.
Hi, my name is Ray Abel. I've lived in Heritage Farms for 31 years. My son lives out there. We really like it. We want to stay the same that it is now. I support the overlay, but I don't support a lot of the things the county has done out there to this point. One thing is let some of these little lots be put houses on, which has never happened in the last 30 years since I've been there. But since I would not pay off the $125,000 for a useless lot, the county now has allowed a house to be built there. So in a meeting I had with Mr. Wise, he said you should have bought the property. If you had bought the property, you wouldn't have to worry about it. And I said, well, if I bought the property, would you allow me to build a house there? And he said, no. And I said, well, who's going to keep the drainage open? He said, that's up to you and your neighbors. I said, well, me and my neighbors cannot keep that little drainage open. That requires a big machinery to get in there to do that. And anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that. But anyway, I'm going to send everybody a letter letting them know what's going on with this project for the last 3.5 years. It's not fair to me, it's not fair to the neighbors, and it's certainly not fair to the people that have bought it, who have been working on this project for 3.5 years, and it looks like to me they'll never be able to meet the drainage plan. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I do support the overlay.
I just want to clarify, it was Doug Wise you were talking to, not Greg Weiss. I know you and I have never met.
I know we have never met. No, sir.
Until today.
I think that it was maybe due, Mrs. Your current, can't think of her name now, the head of the department now that took Ramsey's place.
Whitney.
Okay, Miss Whitney Carroll.
She's right there.
Oh, she's there? I think she wanted this thing to go. She's big-hearted. She didn't want these people not to be able to build a house or whatever. But what she did was entirely wrong. And now everybody's paying for it out there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Okay, Jason Pierre-Paul, followed by Risa McCarron, Wanda Thompson, and Henry Handler. Please take both microphones. Sir.
How y'all doing? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
How y'all doing? Well, my name is Jason Pierre-Paul. Last time I was up here, I was opposed to it, but this time I'm in support of it because I didn't quite know what was going on, but a couple of my neighbors brought to my attention what was going on, and I'm supportive of it because I like the wildlife that's out there. I like my son and daughter and my family coming out there, seeing the animals or whatever, just free. And then, they be on their golf carts and all that. And I have a couple more properties and seeing what's going on, like deep down in Boca and where I'm at now in Heritage Farm. I'd rather be in Heritage Farm when I retire with my family. So, hopefully I'm in support of the overlay, and that'll help.
Thank you, sir.
Risa McCarran, Heritage Farms. We are not asking for anything crazy here. We just want you to place the overlay so that we can maintain the zoning and the land use that was in place when we purchased the property. Everyone out there who purchased a property knew what they were purchasing. ag is ag, residential is residential, 1 to 10 is 1 to 10. We can't change this. If you continue to chip away at our community, you're affecting our lifestyle. And the first part of the comprehensive plan says you've got to support each different type of lifestyle. We choose to live out in the boonies. We like it like that. We don't want to live in the city. If I wanted to live next to a dump truck or a semi, that's where I'd go, out east, that's where they're legally allowed to be. Please support our overlay. We just want to live a rural lifestyle. Thank you.
Thank you. Wanda Thompson?
Good morning, my name is Wenda Thompson. I own 210 parcel acres in Heritage Farms. I operate a nursery that employs around 20 people. We produce and sell 2.5 million plants that are all delivered locally around South Florida. I am opposed to this overlay. I run a business. I own trucks. My customers own trucks. The business has been there for a number of years. The business itself is 30 years old, though not entirely in that location. And in addition to all of that, I feel that there are several problems with this overlay. I don't feel there is consensus. The whole 60-40, 40-60, depending on how you look at it. Honestly, I'd never seen the one earlier today. That looks like it has a really high public consensus that most people really want this. I don't see that in Heritage Farms. I also think that the overlay is not addressing a specific issue. I think there are a few people who would like to see this, but there's no real issue that the overlay is solving. To me, an overlay should solve a problem, not just sort of maintain the status quo, and it should have a high consensus in the community. I also don't believe the current text, has done anything to protect agriculture versus a rural lifestyle. Like, I'm not living a rural lifestyle. I'm running a business, a legal, proper business. It's not a lifestyle choice to me. In fact, it's not a lifestyle choice for all of my employees. I don't think Heritage Farms is the same as Pioneer Road. Our text is a virtual copy. If we are to have an overlay, I'm not against one, but I want one that we write that fits all of us, not some of us. I also think that the consideration of the configuration, there's already been play with it, but to me, it just looks like gerrymandering at this point. It started out as a big block, but then we took out the polo fields, and then we took out the National Cemetery, and now there's this strange form. And I don't know that any configuration will ever make sense, but I think the one that is currently on the map, it's such a small area that's 50-50 at best. It just doesn't make sense to me. I also think that the people who own the larger portions of the larger landowners, we pay a lot more in property taxes. I pay 4 and 10 times what some of the people who down in the Barn Roads area and some of the other smaller parcels, I pay a lot more property taxes than they do. And so I would appreciate it if you would deny or at least delay and reconfigure this overlay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to announce that once we start an item, we don't take additional cards, and I understand one's come in. We'll add it to the non-speaking, and it'll be announced.
Henry Handler, followed by Roland Yee, Susan Roach, Richard Moyrud.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Henry Handler from Weiss Handler, 2255 Glades Road in Boca Raton. We represent Pulte Homes, and we're here in support of option 2 that has been presented to you by staff. We hope that there's a substitute motion to approve an alternative boundary excluding Yee and Cypress Polo properties from the Heritage Farms overlay for inclusion in an expanded trotting center overlay. The client, Pulte Homes, has an application in process presently for its development of Verdura Farms, and there is compatibility with some of the design elements for the Trotting Center overlay. So we urge the commission to approve option 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Commissioner Bernard, you recognize.
Mr. Handler? Thank you. You mentioned for us to go with option 2. Have you had the chance to work with some of the neighbors in the Heritage Farm community? I could have been for Ken Tuma also, but
I think that both Ken Tuma and the representative of Pulte Homes, Andrew Maxey, have spent a considerable time since our last meeting before the commission with representatives of the community, and they both have gained significant support for option 2. They've started the working relationship, Commissioner, with regard to the new Pulte project, and this is the first element of it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir?
Thank you. For the record, Roland Yee with Yee Farms, 7501 South State Road 7, Lake Worth. Mr. Mayor, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to come before you today. I'm here representing my family to respectfully request exclusion of our property from the county-initiated Heritage Farm Rural Overlay. My family's parcel at 7501 South State Road 7 is approximately 57 acres that fronts State Road 7 and abuts the Trotting Center to the north. The assemblage of the Yee and Estrada Cypress Polo parcel, also referred to as Vendura Farms, is nearly identical to the Trotting Center in that both share a common property boundary, both have the same linear feet of State Road 7 road frontage, both have ingress and egress directly from State Road 7, and both are similar geometrically and in acreage, with the Vendura Farms being slightly smaller. The Vendura and Trotting Center parcels are near exact mirror images of one another, both physically and practically. My family's farm is a fourth-generation operation, farming since 1940, and of those 83 years, over 50 of those years have been in Palm Beach County. We purchased this specific property nearly 40 years ago in 1984. This was well before most anyone currently living in Heritage Farms moved into Heritage Farms, and 15 years before the establishment of the county's managed growth tier system, placing my family's property in the rural tier. The purchase of our property was 38 years before the Trotting Center was sold earlier last year for the sole purpose of development. To allow a property that was knowingly purchased in the rural tier under speculation only approximately a year ago to be excluded from the county-initiated Heritage Farms overlay, yet not allow an adjacent near mirror image property that has been owned and operated for 39 years by a bona fide agriculture business with over 50 years of history in Palm Beach County, the same opportunities would be unjust. To be fair and just, we respectfully request our property to be treated as the nearly identical Trotting Center parcel and be excluded from the county-initiated Heritage Farms rural overlay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Roach. I live at 6329 Park Lane West. I've been in Heritage Farms since 1996. Want to let you know, 3 weeks ago, I saw 4 doe and 2 fawns. Last week, I saw a 6-point buck. How many of the people here can say that they've seen that in a short time? We used to see a lot more deer out where we live. We used to see a lot more foxes and otters and bald eagles. Sadly, we're losing that. You know, yes, our little overlay is kind of looking a little wonky, you know, as pieces get chipped away from it, but it's still, you know, a little slice of heaven. Anybody that comes out there, delivery drivers, whatever, they're like, this place is heaven. It's so nice. This is the way Florida used to be. And we would just like to keep it that way. And we only ask for, you know, an additional commissioner vote, just to make sure that that's what you guys really, really want, you know, and that you're really behind changing something. And I don't think it's very much to ask. So please, you know, I support our overlay, and I hope that you would support it also. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Moyrood, followed by Jane Thompson, Russell Zutterland, Stephanie Zutterland.
Richard Moyrud. I live at 7667 Park Lane Road in Heritage Farms. I've been there for 42 years. It is not vacant land. I operate a native nursery, and it is difficult work, but it helps the county and the South Florida. So I'd like you to listen to the homesteading residents today, not land speculators. We have a lifestyle that cannot be duplicated anywhere else. We cannot go farther west because that, fortunately, is the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. We are good neighbors to them because we allow for percolation and buffering to a national wildlife refuge. Your board guides growth through planning, if I understand correctly. So this is a simple issue. No restrictions on landowners if you pass this overlay, which you just gave, by the way, to Pioneer Road and to Biltmore Estates. Anyone can come before you and apply for any change to their land. I can come before you and apply for 1 million units. I'll be laughed out, but I can come before you and apply, right? So the overlay allows simply for a more careful consideration of the consequences of your actions. That's all it does. Anybody can come in and ask for a change. A supermajority, one more commissioner, is it that more difficult? Or is it maybe a little bit more concern about the future of our area? So, you've approved Pioneer Biltmore Estates. We've worked with developers as directed by this board. We have spent more than a year developing a 50-page document agreement. So please approve the overlay in recognition of our compromises, which have resulted in the absorption of more than 300 houses into Heritage Farms, a community that had about 100. Please approve the overlay. Thank you.
Commissioner
Richard?
Bernard, you're recognized.
Richard?
Yes.
You mentioned a 50-page document. What is that? And
It is a legal agreement between the Trotting Center folks and the Heritage Farms community that started a nonprofit in order to be able to come to some kind of legal agreement that would guide this massive development. And in it are many, many details, including improvements to the community. We have a culvert that's about to collapse, which Lake Worth Drainage District refuses to repair and told us it would cost $75,000. The developers have offered to fund that repair. That's one of the many items. The others have to do with landscaping, using wildlife-friendly landscaping, low pollution lighting, things that will help protect our community.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. You don't have to come back up, but that is a document that none of us have seen and had not heard of before today. I just want to put that in the record. Thank you. Ms. Thompson, followed by Mr. and Mrs. Sutherland.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jane Thompson. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
I own 10 acres. I've been there for 25 years. I currently use it both as equestrian and farming. I own Indian Trails Native Nursery. I live on the property, have been there for 25 years, and there isn't much more we can say. We're exhausted. Everything everyone has said in favor of the overlay, sorry, it gets a little stressful, I agree with, and that's all I have to say because this happens.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Zetterland. I live at 10770 Barn Road. We're one of the small houses down at the south end of Heritage Farms. But we left, when we moved out there 23 years ago, we left the city to live in an agricultural area, a rural area. We enjoy the lifestyle. We as well can look out our windows and we can see wildlife walk by, deer, otter, foxes. They use our property to migrate in the area. This is a special place. It's important to us that we keep it safe from overdevelopment, high-density development, and with this overlay, this will give us a step in the right direction to help protect our rural lifestyle. So I'm for the overlay, and I hope you'll support us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Russell Zetterlund, 10770 Barn Road. I'm for the overlay. I think the biggest thing that the problem is it's not being spoken about is the safety. The roads, Heritage Farms Road, the traffic on it destroys the road. Every person out there owns to the middle of the road. The county doesn't own those roads, and the county does not maintain those roads. And if you've driven down those roads, you better have four-wheel drive, because the potholes will take out an axle. And it's not getting better, and there's no homeowners association out there, so safety is important. And if you increase the density of the population out there, it's gonna get worse. Me and a couple of people fixed the road just as a benevolent, but it's not gonna happen, and I'm getting too old to do it myself. So I suggest you consider before you increase density population out there. And I'm for the overlay.
Thank you. Linda Zur, followed by Melissa Moyud, Michelle Lanchanese, and Matt Reinholtz, and Joseph Bistone.
Good morning. I just want to say I'm in support of the overlay. I know the lady that was speaking about the nursery. She does 2 million plants. I don't know her. Nobody's against nurseries out there. It was just the landscapers. And I do own the property that I bought from Ray Abel that has, I'm concerned about flooding and what they're trying to do with the half-acre lots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Moyud?
Yes, sorry. Okay, good morning. My name is Melissa Moyrud. I have lived at 7713 Park Lane Road in Heritage Farms for 17 years. My husband and I also operate a 10-acre native plant nursery in Heritage Farms for 42 years. And I just wanted to wish you good morning and thank you for allowing me to speak. How did we get here? I mean, why are we looking at an overlay to begin with? Okay, so let's talk about why we're here. Well, about 2 years ago, developers started looking at Heritage Farms beyond what the comprehensive plan would allow, which is 1 unit per 10 acres. In addition, Heritage Farms is designated a rural tier. Again, an area that is for equestrian, bona fide agriculture, and mainly acreage lot residences. The county strongly urged the residents to work with the developers because there was a housing shortage. We did that. We were told instead of 20 homes that would be originally allowed, the developer is getting approved for 166 homes. Okay. Much better than the original plan of 466 homes. However, that developer just sold that now rezoned land for $49 million, a $34 million profit, according to South Florida Business Journal. $34 million in profit for not one home built, forever changing the character of our community, and not 1 cent of that profit to the county. So now we are working with the other developer and something along the same density as the first. And yes, this too will forever change the character of our community. As a part of an appeasement from the county for working with these developers, an overlay was initiated by staff to assist in preserving our rural community in the mid-2022. This overlay would further define our community, promote its designated uses, equestrian, bona fide agriculture, and simply preserve the country lifestyle that people want to live here for. Please vote yes to our overlay in its entirety, with the exclusion of Yee, Polo, and Trotters, being that they have direct access to 441, and they are writing their own overlay. Please do not tear apart our community further. Please keep this overlay in its entirety. So a couple of things I wanted to mention real quick, I still have a few seconds, is that taking Yee and Polo and the Trotters out, we have 67% in favor and 33% in opposition. So that changes the demographics drastically. The other thing I wanted to say real quickly is that there's a lot of misinformation, a lot from property speculators that would like to get high density zoning and building like the other developers, and who have been circulating this paper saying, vote against it because an overlay will cause more restrictions, more code enforcement, gates, and cameras. I don't see that anywhere in the overlay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Matt Reinholz, Palm Beach, FNGLA. Heritage Farms should be protected in its current state, but I do oppose the overlay. This overlay does not have the needed support from all the landowners affected like previous overlays. This appears to break every good faith constitutional requirement by the government regarding private property rights. Landowners who wish to have overlay, let them have the overlay on their properties. To impose their will upon other landowners using the commission as the vehicle for further regulation and police powers is not only un-American, but a clear example of an attempt to gain control over privately owned land. Please don't pass the overlay.
I have two more speaking cards, Michelle Anchinese and Joseph Biston.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I own 7495 Park Lane Road. It's truly a beautiful oasis to go there, live there, to spend time there. It's away from the hustle and bustle of the city. I do support the overlay. We did meet with the developers to allow all the building more houses, the 166 homes off of 441, because of course you have to have development and we need more housing, it's no question. But at least this one small oasis that's between us and the Loxahatchee Reserve, keep that safe and sound so it doesn't hurt the reserve at all. Thank you very much, and use your King Solomon hat to figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss?
Hi, my name is Michelle Anchinese, and me and my family own several parcels out in Heritage Farms. We moved there in 1983, back when there was nothing out there. 441 was a 2-lane highway. It took 20 minutes to get to the closest grocery store because it was 15 miles away. Soon it will take 20 minutes to get to the closest grocery store that is now 2 miles away. At that point, I will not want to live there anymore. I will want to go to greener pastures. Please do not pass this overlay. Let me sell to who I can sell to. Anybody. Don't restrict who I can sell my property to. I think it's very unfair that people that already have homes on less than a half an acre can tell me that I can't do the same to my property. I don't think it's fair that the people directly across the street from me can build developments and I cannot. That I will not be able to do this and people directly across the street can do that. I don't think it's fair that someone could tell me that I have to plant native plants on my property. I don't think that it's fair that we should limit our properties to agriculture and equestrian. I don't think people should be able to tell me what is in my barn, what is in my house, and tell me that I have to have equestrian or agriculture. That's not right. But if you do pass this overlay, then do not let the people across the street put developments in across the street from my property.
That's the end of our speaking cards. I had a couple of cards that came in after we closed comment cards. So, and a couple wanted to be read into the record. Kevin Bergman did not wish to speak, but he says, I have a concern that those in favor of the Heritage Farms proposed overlay have formed nonprofits for the purpose of receiving payments from the builders. That's something that none of us were aware of. Keely Haverland is opposed, and Ralph Junta is in support. And Mayor, that is the end of our cards for this.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the public for weighing in on this. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could have staff pull up two separate slides, the Biltmore in favor and the Heritage Farms. So this is what sticks out to me when we start. Anyone that knows me knows I'm in favor of a rural lifestyle. I don't think you'll meet anyone more in favor of a rural lifestyle than myself and why I live in the acreage. But when we start talking about affecting people's abilities and what they can do with their property, even just making it one step harder, I think there's a history there. And I do believe for this one, with a 98% support, that's an overwhelming majority of support, however you want to look at it, which is very important when I guess, analyzing these two. And if you go to the other one, it just doesn't have it. I mean, we are here, and I love the idea of protecting a rural lifestyle, but this is nowhere near majority, even if you do remove the Pulte Cypress Yee Farm area of this overlay. There's just not, it's not there to start affecting people's property rights, what they can do, telling them what they can. And the people who are mostly going to be affected by this, meaning the larger acreage, are actually going to be seem to be the ones mostly against this. So the most affected seem to be against this. So, I mean, I'd say, I think, and please correct me, Kevin, in the history of overlays, how is the process normally handled?
So we don't have too many examples. We've only had one that has been adopted, and that was the Pioneer Road overlay. So typically these are kind of neighborhood driven. It comes out of support within the neighborhood to add that little extra layer of protection with that. You know, again, it doesn't restrict the availability of a property owner to seek a future land use amendment in the future or anything, but it does require that supermajority or fifth vote. It's usually community driven.
And how long did that neighborhood plan take to put together?
The actual neighborhood plan, I believe that was like in 2016. It was a pretty substantial process, about a year, I would think, if I remember.
And so, and they came up with a majority of support. I would just like to see this community come together with, and I'm not saying no forever. Let's, you know, look at this later, but they just need to reach a higher threshold, in my opinion, of support before we pass any kind of overlay. And that's where I stand.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Oh. Commissioner Marino, you recognize.
I appreciate the district commissioner's position, and there are countless times where we try to support the district commissioner in her district. In this instance, I apologize to the district commissioner. I'm not going to support her. But I am going to make the motion that we transmit with option 2, strictly because the Yee Farms in that community have direct access to State Road 7. If they did not, I would not be taking them out of the overlay. But an overlay is just a protection, and it just means you have to have 5 commissioners vote for you, not 4. And the majority of the time, our commission does actually think alike. So in this instance, I would like to make the motion to transmit the overlay option number 2.
And second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Bernard. Commissioner Bernard, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I've been here for about 7 years, and the Heritage Farm folks have been coming to us for over 7 years, and I believe that, I don't know if there's a chance that, you know, these numbers are going to go up in terms of who's going to support and who's not going to support, but we have to be fair to the residents that live in Heritage Farms. And although, you know, we're going with this overlay, if someone wants to develop, they can still come in front of us. And, you know, if there's a good project, the board will evaluate and they will make a decision. And so I don't think that we're limiting the residents' rights. And of course, Jason, last time you were here, you were against it. And, you know, today you're supporting it. And so that means a lot, because I was like, man, you know, I wanted to hear how you thought about it since you live there and you raised your kid there. And so that's important to me, that the residents really do support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Woodward, you recognize.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I did have a question regarding a couple of comments that were brought up about businesses that are operating in Heritage Farms right now. There's a nursery that uses lots of trucks, or, you know, like what is existing there now? If we pass this overlay, would those businesses be required to relocate or have to tamp down their business? Does anything in this overlay would affect their business?
There is not. So the main component of the overlay is policy language that encourages the lifestyles that are out there today. The only real tangible, if you will, is that fifth vote. So no, it would not, you know, if there's a legally operating nursery, there's nothing in this overlay that will then have any impact on that business.
So as far as the other businesses that maybe are all legal, of course, agriculture, equestrian, any of that, these are larger parcels that maybe people don't actually live there. Seems to be, for me, the disconnect is coming from residents who are living in this area and businesses that are operating in this area. So as far as how it's zoned right now, businesses that are in this area, if they wanted to sell and develop, the only change that this overlay is doing is adding a fifth vote, or one vote, so it's 5.
Right, so any request that would need to come to the board for an increase in density, residential density, that would now require 5 out of 7 votes as opposed to 4.
And what's allowed right now is 1 for 10 acres?
Correct.
Okay, even though there's multiple parcels in here that are less than 5 acres? We have 85 parcels less than 5 acres?
Yeah, so the comprehensive plan has language recognizing that there are previous legal lots of record that were a lot that was platted at that time. So there are some provisions that still allow for development. If it's determined planning, zoning, and building, we're working with land development, that it was a legal lot of record back, I don't have the exact dates in my head, but back some period before 1993, I believe, that the right to develop isn't totally pulled from that property. Now, if a property were to try to subdivide today to match some of those property sizes, then we would not allow development. This is just recognizing that there are previous legal lots of record.
And it looks, I think that changed in 1989. That was the adoption of the 89 plan. Is that correct?
That might be right, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to deny this application and have the residents come to more of a consensus, especially with what Commissioner Woodward was, I think, pointing at, is that we do have so many different lot variations. There's not consensus as far as size. They're not mostly 1 acres, mostly 5, mostly 10. They vary so much. And so now we're going to place an additional step. I wouldn't say completely removing their property rights, but it is an additional step for businesses, let's say, agricultural businesses that exist in there, say they're not doing well, say they need to sell. We're now placing an additional burden with requiring a supermajority vote if they do want to do something with it or sell it or need to get out. So in a way, we are affecting what they can do with their property, assuming that a future board might not be so, might go one way or the other. So I'd like to make the motion to deny.
So we have a substitute motion by Commissioner Baxter. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Barnett.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to go back to the original motion by Commissioner Marino.
So we have a substitute motion by Commissioner Bernard. Is there a second for that?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Marino. So now we're at the end of our substitute motions, correct? Okay. So is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Barnett?
Oh, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry.
What are we voting on? Sorry.
So it is a substitute motion, which goes back to the original motion, which is option 2.
Correct.
That excludes the Vadera Farms property. Okay. Are you clear, Commissioner? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and we'll take the roll call.
Commissioner Barnett?
Yes. Commissioner Baxter?
Just for clarification, we're voting to approve the
Transmittal.
transmittal.
So it'll come back again for adoption.
I don't know if that was clear, but no.
Commissioner Bernard?
Yes.
Commissioner Marino?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sacks? Mayor Weiss?
Yes. So that
5-1.
motion carries 5-1. So this item will be transmitted as adopted. I want to thank everybody who came out to speak to us on this item. I appreciate it.
Option 2 has been transmitted. right?
Correct, option 2. Okay. All right. Want to take a break? Okay. Been asked by some colleagues if we can take a 5-minute recess, which we will do.
truck stops next.
Oh, all right, while they're wrapping up that conversation, I just want to let folks know, once again, we are going to be starting on item 5A1, and then we'll move to item 5B, which is the zoning agenda. So I'm asking that if you're planning to speak on any of these items, please have had your card submitted before the item begins. And also to let you know, we have a hard stop at 11:30. Okay? All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started, and we'll move on to item 5A1. This is county proposed text amendments.
All right. Yes, so this is for the board to consider the initiation of 3 proposed county text amendments to the comprehensive plan, and we have Stephanie Gregory available for a presentation.
Okay.
You're recognized.
Okay, thank you. So just as a reminder, the initiation process was created to allow the board to authorize staff to proceed with data analysis. A full staff report for all of these items with the proposed policy revisions will come back to you later for your consideration at a future public hearing. So the first item we have today is regarding revisions to the recreation and open space element. This was requested by the Department of Parks and Recreation. The last update was in 2012, so the amendment will explore emerging issues such as increasing public access, resiliency, and public outreach. The second item is housekeeping. Planning staff is proposing to delete the lifestyle commercial center policies from the plan. In 2008, policies were added to allow sites to develop commercial uses in mid-block locations with design criteria. Only 3 sites along Lake Worth Road were approved as the LCC. And then in 2017, amendments were adopted, which largely eliminated these provisions both in the plan and code since the sites had not developed. Subsequently, the property owners requested and the board approved amendments requiring removing the requirement for each of the sites in 2017, 2018, and then most recently with the Lake Worth Crossing project. The final item is to align allowable uses within the congregate living future land use designation, and that's to be consistent with terminology in the Land Development Code. In 2020, the zoning division hired a consultant to study and provide recommendations regarding community residential housing. And so this will resulted in changes to the code, so we just want to make sure that they are consistent. In conclusion, staff is recommending to initiate, and the Planning Commission at the August hearing also recommended to initiate 9-0. So we have 2 motions for this. One is to initiate the comp plan text amendments, and the other is to initiate the associated ULDC text amendments. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. I believe we have 1 card on this item. 5B. Okay, we do not have any cards on this item. So,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
sorry, Commissioner Barnett, you're recognized. Sorry about that.
Commissioner Bernard beat me to it. I was just going to make the motion to initiate the county proposed comp plan text amendments. Sorry,
Second.
Mac.
We have a motion to initiate the county proposed comp plan text amendments by Commissioner Barnett, a second by Commissioner Bernard. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed, that motion carries 6-0. And then we just need a second motion. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to initiate Associated Unified Land Development Code amendments.
We have you guys swapped. We have a motion to initiate the Associated Unified Land Development Codes by Commissioner Bernard, a second by Commissioner Barnett. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed, that motion carries 6-0. Good. All right. We are going to be moving on to item 5B1. This is commercial vehicles and residential zoning. And we're going to have a swap of folks that'll be doing the presentation. And again, remind folks that are here, if you have not submitted a card, you have probably about 10 or 15 seconds. How many cards do you have?
I'm sorry.
Is that speaking? Okay. Well, let's go to 2 minutes. Let's go to 2 minutes.
Good morning. Just gonna plug in my laptop here.
That's okay, take your time. Changing out the whole crew.
See if this actually works. That's live, great. Okay, good morning, Lisa Mayer, the zoning director, on a planning agenda for change. And today we're going to talk about commercial vehicles in residential zoning. There's a memo in the packet that we issued on August 16th. And what we did since the last time we met with the board, we've been meeting multiple times this year and then several times last year with the concept of challenges for property owners that want commercial vehicles in their yard. There's been complaints about code enforcement that we previously addressed, and we're not here to talk about code enforcement today. We're here to talk about what the code requires and what options there are for definitions or changes if the board wants to consider for commercial vehicles. So what that packet had in it, or still has in it online, is basically two options. We keep the rules as is and we make no changes, or you change some rules in the Unified Land Development Code. And if we go the route of, the board goes the route of changing the code, there's a lot of discussion that would have to be had on that item. So one of the directions from the board was to look at definitions. So this is the slide of the current rules. This is summarized in the backup. One of the things we talked about with the board is our definition for commercial vehicles. The code typically uses a 12,500 gross vehicle weight rating. That's the weight of the truck or the vehicle with the material that it can haul within it, and the cab and the people and all of that. And our code typically uses 12.5. The state definition calls a commercial motor vehicle up to 26,000 pounds. Over 26,000 pounds, which is essentially a semi-truck or a dump truck or a larger vehicle. And the federal definition is a bit complicated, but in summary, if you have a vehicle of 10,000 pounds or greater, you need to have it registered with US DOT, and in our state also FDOT as well. So what we did is we also looked at different other local governments for inspiration on what their definitions are. That in the backup is a bit of a summary of all the other local governments we looked at. We found that other local governments are, yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. Just to remind folks, we are not taking any additional cards at this time.
Thank you. Well, we discovered that other local governments in the state of Florida have as complex of regulations as we do on commercial vehicles and residential. But we did find a general theme that they use the Federal Highway Administration classes, which they're done either on weight classes or on axles, which are shown in the graphic here. And so what those generally look like is these slides. 6,000 pounds or less, and again, this is gross vehicle weight, which includes the weight of the vehicle, what could be hauled in the truck bed, the fuel, the capacity. So typically, a lot of local governments fall on a 15,000 pound. More frequently, there was only one other local government that had a 12.5. Some fall on a 10 pound. So this graphic shows some of the types of vehicles that are typically, allowed. What happened? There. When you get in the 10,000 to 14,000 pound range, that's some example of some of those vehicles. And in the 14 to 16 range, you get some of the larger vehicles. And what falls in that range is what appears to be one of the most popular little landscape trucks or little box trucks with the little Isuzu there. That falls around 14.5, and that's an extremely popular little truck that has the bed can be multiple different configurations, but it's really, really popular. When you get above 16,000 pounds to 26,000 pounds, you're getting in much more of the commercial style. As you could tell, these slides, a lot of people can have these for personal use. They're pretty popular vehicles. When you get over 16, you're starting to see more of a commercial vehicle kind of look to these vehicles. And then again, 26,000 pounds and up, you need a commercial driver's license with the state. And they can be a lot bigger. And something to point out that even a trailer that can tow a heavy weight can be considered a commercial vehicle and need a US DOT registration as well. We looked at a bunch of data to put this packet together. Something we did was look at the registered US DOT or Florida Highway Safety Administration motor vehicle registrations by zip codes. For 3 zip codes, this is in the backup, but also this slide, we found that there's a lot of trucks between 10 to 14,000 pounds and between 14 and 16,000 pounds, but the bigger vehicles you get, the less we found, and this data includes all of Loxahatchee Groves, Westlake, all of Royal Palm Beach, and a lot of the unincorporated industrial area between Southern and Belvedere. So there's not a tremendous quantity, at least from this data, that are registered operator owners in those zip codes with the state. We also looked at code violations. We didn't find that relatively consider the red boundary is Indian Trails Improvement District boundary. We only found in 2022, for example, 77 commercial vehicle violations. We also look at big business tax receipts for the red boundary, which is Jupiter Farms Neighborhood Plan, and the Acreage Neighborhood Plan in blue. There are a tremendous amount of home businesses. People are thriving with their home businesses. And what we did is we took the 3,000 business tax receipts from the tax collector and we kind of grouped them by categories. So there's a tremendous amount of home contractors, folks that are just, I called for this data, a home office, which could be an interior designer or something. So there's a lot of home businesses operating in these areas. Relative, there's not a lot of commercial vehicle code violations that we have. As far as zoning, this table and graphic shows, some of the data on how much acreage there are in the ex-urban and rural and glades, rural service area AR zoning. That, the changes that led to a lot of this were adopted for AR, agricultural residential, rural service area, RSA, which happened in 2019. There wasn't any changes for AR inside the urban suburban tier, so that's why we focused on the neighborhoods and the data for those areas. And there's about 55,000 acres, and just in the acreage alone, which is on this slide, there's 15,800 parcels, 12,000 acres. So relatively, again, the violations are relatively small. This slide proposes some ideas. If you do want to make changes to commercial vehicles, maybe consider instead of the 1, 12.5, maybe go up to 2 on 14 to 16. This is not a recommendation. This is just ideas to discuss. If there is board direction to allow semi-trucks and larger or large vehicles on properties, we would recommend looking at the home contractor storage yard for inspiration on what that wording would be, which is shown on this slide. The home contractor storage yard right now is allowed in the AR RSA zoning on 5 acres. It allows 3 employees. It does allow semi-truck. It is required to be on a collector arterial roadway unless there's a type 2 waiver, which is why we have Scott Cantor here from Land Development to talk about the roadway and access requirements for commercial uses. And then there's rules on screening and landscaping and such. And this slide also shows some of the other home businesses that are also allowed. But we think a home contractor, because it is the only home use right now that allows a semi-truck. So we did, I wanted to call your attention, it didn't make it into the packet because it came out after we published, but we did get an Indian Trails Improvement District letter that they emailed directly to you. It was dated May 16th. One of the critically important things if we look at making changes is not every roadway is the same. And what's extra complicated about these neighborhoods is Indian Trails Improvement District is the roadway and drainage provider for the Indian Trails area, where in Heritage Farms, some of those roadways are privately maintained. In Jupiter Farms, there's Sir Wicket, which I can't remember what, that's
South Indian River Water Control District.
Yes, there's that. And, but they don't maintain all of the roadways. So we know that there's roadways that are maintained as easements. A roadway can be an easement, it could be a right-of-way, it could be county maintained, and that's something that's really important if the board wants to add commercial vehicles, is what kind of roadway requirements. We require for regular commercial vehicle uses, they have to be on an 80-foot right-of-way unless they get a type 2 waiver or a subdivision variance. Yeah, subdivision variance, just the landscape gets the type 2 waiver. So again, this is a slide that talks a little bit about those areas of conversation. If you want to make some changes, where we would look for some feedback today. And if you do want to make any changes, we would have to take the direction today, prepare some strikeout and underline, go to the Land Development Regulation and Advisory Board, and then come back again. And there'd be a lot more meetings in the future. I just want to point that out for the card holder plan speakers. I think that covers everything.
All right. Are there questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Marino, you recognize.
Questions for staff means what is it that you are looking for today?
Well, we've had this topic come up multiple times at Matters by the Public, and we have prepared this packet with as much research as we can do at this time, unless there's any, we're really looking for leave the rules alone, keep the 12.5 or whatever, leave them alone, and that's it. And anyone with a code violation with commercial vehicles would have to go through the regular process and relocate their vehicles, because there's no avenue to get those resolved. Or you want to make changes, and in which case give us direction on what you might want to change. So it's basically either we leave it alone, and then and then everyone knows that we're not going to come back and ask again if you say, we're done, or ask us for more work, and then we'll come back again.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. We are going to limit speakers to maximum of 2 minutes, but if you can make your statement in less than 2 minutes, that's always appreciated.
Thank you. We have a boatload of cards, so, and if I butcher your name, I apologize. Ryan, your last name begins with a G. Thank you. William Ellis, Ricardo Valdez, Timothy Tuliker. Please come up. You have both microphones you can speak at. And the faster you come up to the microphones, the quicker we get through this.
I guess I'll go first. My name is Ricardo Valdez. I live on 16394 East Calder Drive, Loxahatchee. I'd like to thank you all for giving us an opportunity to voice. I don't really have skin in the game as far as commercial vehicles go, but just as a thought, on that chart that she had up there showing the weight of the vehicles, just so everybody understands, 26,000-pound GVW, as an example, that's a large U-Haul truck that any of us with a driver's license can rent. So that'll give you an idea. Literally everything on that chart that it's not heavy-duty, 26,000 pounds, is the U-Haul truck, the 26-foot truck. My problem I'm having is right now myself, personally, I'm trying to get an accessory building permitted in my backyard. I've been there since 2005. I suffered through the housing bust and stayed. I did not leave, like a lot of people walked away from. And I seen my efforts of being there and improving the property squashed. Now I'm trying to get an accessory building to deal with a pole barn issue that I can't bring the pole barn that was built in '81 to comply. My thing is, I feel that our rights are being infringed upon. As community, people getting into your backyard telling you what you can and can't do, what you can park, not park.
Stop.
The local government overreach is getting out of hand. I can't believe that if I want to plant ukuleles in my backyard that I have to get a permit. I mean, really, it's really getting difficult. I've been trying to get a permit approved for a small accessory building in my backyard for almost 2 years. And if you could only see the amount of roadblocks and requirements and engineered drawings of water runoff and what have you,
Very much,
it's
sir.
crazy.
I'd like to just ask that you limit your comments to what's in front of us today, which is this item on commercial trucks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ryan?
Yes, Ryan Gonzalez. How are you?
Thank you.
So I just moved out here in the acreage with my family about 2 months ago. I'm a commercial roofer and contractor, and we live on a corner lot, so we're exposed on Pressman, and we want to remain the codes to stay the way they are. We came out here to live this type of lifestyle and to get away from the city, the hustle and the bustle. So I want to, please remain the way it is.
Thank you. William Ellis, followed by Timothy Tulaker. Okay. Christine Davis Miller, followed by Michael Atchison.
Good morning. My name's Christine, and I am a homeowner in Loxahatchee on East Edinburgh Drive. We own a small business. My husband does have a box truck. We've been out there since 2001, but we park that box truck on a poured driveway. It's been there literally since we moved in. Of course, it's a newer one now, but I am also a realtor out in the acreage. We've, again, been there since 2001. I bought my property back in 2018. So we have been there for a long time. I also went through the ups and downs of everybody leaving the acreage after the cancer scare, both through my business and as a homeowner there. So I want you to understand, as a homeowner and as a business owner, we need that commercial vehicle to be parked there. We don't have people coming to the house with lots of different vehicles. It's just his truck that he uses every day. It has his name on it. None of our neighbors have ever complained. I love the fact that we live in the acreage and we have that ability. What I don't like are the people taking advantage of it. The ones that are parking 15 and 18 and 25 vehicles in their backyard on nothing that's paved. So yes, we do need to have commercial vehicles out there. It needs to be allowed, but it does need to be allowed correctly so that not to damage our wells, our septic tanks, and our roads. Thank you very much for your time.
Michael?
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Mike Atchison. I'm president of the FNGLA Palm Beach chapter, and I live at 913 Snowden Drive. I just wanted to make sure that any decisions being made here, we definitely keep the Right to Farm Act in mind. This is an ag residential area, not just a residential area. And Loxahatchee is a special place full of hardworking people. They need a place like this. They need a place to be. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Keely Haviland, followed by Oscar Montoya.
Keely Haverland, 17681, 90th Street North in Loxahatchee. FNGLA treasurer. and a Palm Beach County native, one of the few. My family grew up out here. I grew up out here, and the reason folks moved out here was to live this lifestyle, to have recreational vehicles, to be able to operate small businesses. If you're a small business with just a couple trucks, you can't go buy a $5 million piece of property. It's just reality. So before you hurt these people, please consider putting in place a place for them to go. And if you don't have one, then allow them to do what they're doing. Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, good morning. My name is Oscar Montoya. I ask one more time from our community, the 90% of the community have at least one or two trucks, no matter what side in our property. Some of the inspector know and still there. We can have before one or two trucks. I had one inspection in 2014 when the inspection exactly don't say you can have a truck, but when you got the picture and everybody know, and right now some inspectors say confuse the lab or confuse the rule and never happen, but the truth is before the inspector know we can park two trucks. I am proof of that. I had one inspection in that time, and see, you got one or two trucks in that moment, he let you park. He let you park. That is the real truth. And now he say, sometime in this same place say, no, it's by interpretation. No, that never happened. But we can, that is the truth. And please, your community, the 90% of your community ask for this. Please help us. Thank you.
Elizabeth Accomando, followed by Natalie Melian, and Matt Reinholtz, and Daniel Esposito.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. Elizabeth Accomando, Indian Trail Improvement District. As staff noted, the board did send a letter of their opinion, and really it relates to the fact that these are district roads. As the staff noted in their presentation, the roads in the acreage and unincorporated portions of Loxahatchee are maintained by Indian Trail and owned to the center by the residents. Our residents are benefit assessed per acre. This is not an across-the-board tax for our $16,000 properties, 16,000 properties. We cannot assess the individual homeowners. Each resident of that unit will end up bearing the cost of any additional maintenance that is required from additional weights. In addition, many of the roads in the district are very narrow. Staff said about the 80-foot. Ours are nowhere near that. The culverts are not designed for that type of weight of the rig, including a loaded trailer. And while the semi itself may not really affect, there is potential issues with the widening, with the driveway entrances and the culverts and swales, that improvements will be required to be made. I don't know if that's something that the county is willing to assist the district with. Otherwise, we would have to assess that in the taxes. Not only is the district seeing the additional traffic from growth in the neighboring communities, but since the start of the pandemic, the amount of deliveries to our 45,000 residents has increased substantially. This is taxing the operations department of the district and therefore already increasing taxes to every unit in Indian Trail. With the expected growth of the e-commerce in the future, we're going to see, may I have just a moment? No? Okay.
We got your,
okay.
we got your letter,
But-
we got your point. And,
All right, thank you, but
Commissioner
please.
Baxter does have a question, so maybe.
Yes, thank you.
Are you aware of the 2019 letter that ITID sent the commission?
Yes, I am.
And you're aware that it said it wouldn't negatively impact the area?
Yes, I am.
So I'm curious, why now the sudden change of heart?
I don't think that it's a change of heart. We do respect everybody's property rights. However, because of the increased traffic and what's looking to be coming, the staff is very concerned. However, with that being said, I would like to find a path forward for the folks, and if the commission decides that they would allow some sort of semi-truck parking on residential property, that we work together on that project. And if not, of course, find them a place. And regardless, I would like to see that these fines that have been levied against the owners who came out here when the code allowed it to be negated and resolved with, to their benefit, because it isn't fair that there were changes and there was, variations in the code in certain paragraphs where it was allowed and it wasn't allowed. And as we know, the realtors were saying, "Oh yes, come with your trucks, come," and of course we support small business as well. So we would like to try to find, some sort of middle ground.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to ask?
I have a question for staff. Has code ever allowed semi-truck parking?
No, and that's
Yeah.
something that's, yeah.
All right. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized again.
When we reviewed, I guess, the definitions, which is how we got here today, there had been a cut and paste job, I don't even remember what year it was, that changed the definition of commercial vehicle that used to say anything over 10,000 pounds. So if, in fact, that was the case, couldn't it then be interpreted, and if somebody read commercial vehicles, they could legitimately think they were allowed?
Because of the wording, I agree that because of the wording in the code, it was confusing, and then the change that was made, I think it was 2008 we looked at, it made it even more confusing. But essentially, because of the multiple places in the code, it was not allowed. But there is, the wording in 3 different places is a little different.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Okay.
Natalia Milian, property 16139 East Pleasure Drive. I just want to point out to Indian Trail and to county commissioners, traffic is coming anyhow. You're going to see my semi-tractor trailer driving up and down, regardless of where I can park it or not. In case you're not supposed to have them, you're still going to have them. We're being run out by different HOA communities. Westlake was built right in the middle of Loxahatchee. We have Arden, we have GL Homes. There are so many new communities being built. Where are they gonna get their groceries? Who is gonna bring all these items? I am. Just wanted to point that out really quick. Can someone here explain to me why we have been out here for decades, having our trucks, having semis, dump trucks, having all type of commercial and recreational vehicles work, because we're not here just for commercial today, we're here for recreational as well, and I would like to address that as I have my own recreational vehicles. None of us in the past were cited. We were kind of just blindsided. Nobody did anything to us. So wouldn't we have some type of property rights for being out there for decades, running our businesses with no issues? Don't we have some type of right? Can somebody answer that for me?
This is not a question and answer.
We don't answer questions.
Right. But, I'm just asking because every time you guys have a question, I answer it. But just wanted to see if somebody was polite enough to do that for me. But thank you. And another thing I wanted to point out is I'm coming here since 2019. If there's going to be more meetings and you guys want any feedback, any support, I'll be happy to help. I know a lot about the business, all type of commercial vehicles. I can answer any questions. I can help with the building of the codes. I understand there has to be limits, but we can't go from having anything literally out in Loxahatchee to having nothing. That's not how it works. Just because you guys didn't do the code enforcement correctly does not mean that we just get to be blindsided and kicked out. We have nowhere else to go, like I said before. We're being run out.
Matt
I'm gonna ask
Reinhold.
that we don't have public displays inside of chambers unless we are having proclamations or other special matters.
Hello, Matt Reinholz, Jupiter Farms. There's definitely a need for commercial vehicles. They are the backbone of our economy and our county. To address the road wear and tear, most of our roads are dirt. Dirt roads do not break down. They are made of dirt from heavy trucks. They've been used this way in agricultural industry for hundreds of years. These people are not driving their vehicles to go pick up the kids at school. They're not driving these vehicles to go pick up in Publix. The wear and tear within the community is a red herring. It is not true. They leave, they come home, they store their personal property on their residence. This needs to be allowed and not limited to just a weight limit that doesn't help the economy. A semi-truck has to have a purpose. Trash trucks are allowed to operate on these same roads, which weigh 80,000 pounds, twice a week. No damage, there's no issue with those trucks. Fire safety, fire trucks all operate on these roads with no problem. So I don't see why they're pigeonholing these folks and their commercial vehicles out of the county. Thank you.
Daniel Esposito.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Name's Daniel Esposito, 15554 Tangerine Boulevard, Loxahatchee, Florida. 30 years, same address, same place, 22 years in business, self-employed. We all moved out there because we're all self-employed. We had horses, we had dirt roads, everybody had a business. All of a sudden, they change a couple things. People are building new houses, they want sidewalks, lights, and then they're offended by our trucks. The same people that may complain are the same people that come to our driveways. Oh, you have a dump truck? How much is it for loads of dirt? Oh, you have a flatbed? Can you move this for us? It's not right to put us out of business when we've been there so long, especially people that decided to move there, and before they purchased a home next door to you, they should look in the guy's driveway. That's my biggest issue. My house is clean, very respectable. I keep everything neat. My trucks are parked there. I have never had a complaint from any of my neighbors. And I don't know who's been complaining, but I imagine whoever complains about us is the same people that are employing us. So I'd appreciate if you can give us some leeway. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I have Jorge Garcia, followed by Renee Hamilton, Susan Roach, and Michelle Wygant.
Good morning. I thank you for having us. I live in the acreage. I live on 4360 Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, and I own two properties side by side. I also own 11716 Mellow Court. So I have an acre and a quarter in either property. I've been there for 20 years. I have a small business. I'm a contractor. I install fences, railings, and hurricane shutters. And I've been operating there for 20 years. I've never had a complaint from any of my neighbors, from code enforcement. I actually get along with code enforcement and most city people. I don't really have an issue with them. But I have neighbors that are plumbers, mechanics, dump truck drivers, tractor trailer drivers, and auto transporters, which are within a block to 2 blocks from me in either direction on Mellow Court, and I see them having problems. I stand in solidarity with the truckers, with contractors, with every tradesman that moved out there 20 years ago when they were allowed to operate a home-based business, where we have a business tax receipt that used to be our occupational license that operated out of there. We pay our bills, we pay our taxes, we pay $1,700 a year to a drainage district. And those dirt roads are the only thing that get maintained. They've never maintained my swale in 20 years. Nothing's been done to it. They come every time after it rains, they maintain the dirt road, and they leave. There's never been an issue. And I just want to allow people to be able to conduct business and run home-based businesses going forward. Thank you.
Miss?
Hi, my name is Renee Hamilton. Thank you for allowing us to speak today. I did want to bring up a couple of things. One, the roads and Indian trails. Those roads are owned to the middle of the road by the residents there. We do pay a non-ad valorem tax to maintain those roads, and I believe that most of us are content paying those fees. We knew they were dirt roads. We knew we had to pay the tax, and we're paying it. So if we're paying it and it's our trucks, leave us alone. Secondly, I'd like to comment on The overlay that just happened prior to us, I know a year ago approximately, Sarah Baxter had asked this commission about us doing an overlay to help us, and everybody up there was saying, no, we didn't want to have a bunch of overlays, and now you just approved an overlay. So if you can't give us what we want, please consider an overlay as well. The third thing that I would like to mention is that I had the pleasure, actually, of being at one of these truck drivers' homes a week ago, and I want you to understand this is a way of life. This is not just trucks coming and going, you know, that you would see on a street. I was able to see a family saying goodbye to their father and their grandfather as they were leaving to go pick up loads for the week this week. And it was a great sight to be able to see as the kids were with mom and dad and out at the rig and looking at the rig and sitting in the seat and kissing dad. And there was grandma and auntie and great grandma in the yard all out there waving goodbye and getting kisses. It was a pleasure to see, and I want you to understand this is a way of life for these people. Thank you.
This will be the last card. Then we're going to take a break for lunch.
Susan Roach from Heritage Farms. You know, we fought for 7 years to move the commercial vehicles out of our neighborhood. And we are, unlike Loxahatchee, all of our roads are privately maintained and privately owned. We're worried that allowing these commercial vehicles back into residential zonings, that will start us back over at day one, and we'll have to start going forward. The roads are not wide enough. There's no sidewalks. Kids have to walk to the bus stop. There's no street lights. You know, it's people ride horses, children ride bicycles. You know, we're worried that with commercial vehicles also, you have the chance of accidents with children. So just like to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this meeting's going to be in recess till 1 p.m.
Thank you.